Guys, congratulations on the film. Absolutely loved it. I mean, last night, how exciting. I suppose especially for you, Paul, you have to say your family were there. It's an Irish premiere. Is it, I know you're going like doing a lot of special places these days all around the world to launch all sorts of films. Is it extra special when you get to do something like this that you're in Dublin?
Absolutely. It's like to have my family and like family friends there that like typically you can't get out to like Cannes with. But also just to have like a film open in a city, or the opening night of the festival in Dublin. I mean, it really is, or it feels very special to me.
Yeah. And did you know each other, Emily, before this film? Because I know it was COVID times when the whole thing kind of was supposed to kick off.
No.
So how do you get that bond and relationship going? Did you get into a bubble very early on so you could work on the characters, or how does it work?
I think we met on Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom rehearsals for a week before we actually met in person.
And we had many phone calls.
Chat. Yeah.
But then you just kind of have to just jump in.
Yeah. You've got a very short space of time to get.
And Emily is the queen of that. And
really?
She just jumped right in and took us all with her. It was something really.
I think there was something about having been confined in our separate places, just on Zoom for a week. We were all like coiled springs waiting to go, just like boing, and off we were just running and wild, and it was a lot of it was about getting into the physicality of being those characters in the place and the kind of smell of it, sweat.
And the oysters, obviously the oyster farming and this, I believe you actually went, because I love a good oyster myself, but I didn't realise how much work it looks like goes into oyster farming. How was it?
Yeah, it was great. I was just saying earlier, so Fola, our producer, her brother's an oyster farmer, and I had a bit of time in the summer previous to go down and work with him for a couple of days. And I just think that all goes into the like memory bank of the character when you then arrive to set. But it's not for the faint-hearted. It's brutal. You have to do it, rain, hail or shine. It's dangerous work. Very labour intensive, but like a muscular
You didn't
act.
mention sun there.
Yeah, there was no sun.
I'm getting the vibes that it was a little bit chilly, maybe that water
chilly.
and some of the scenes.
Yes.
Like, what was the hardest bit then, Emily, in this to play this role? Like, what was the hardest scene to film for you?
Well, I said to Shane after we'd filmed it, never again write a scene that relies on the rising tide. Because that's the scene at the end is all about the tide rising, and we had the most difficult sort of denouement of the whole emotional story, which is very dramatic, to play with the water, them everybody looking at their watches going, the water's coming, we're going to have to. So that was a lot of pressure, but it was also very, physically by the end of the day, we were wearing these enormous wetsuits, and I literally couldn't lift my feet up to get back in the boat. I literally was...
We had hysterics. We finished the day.
Hysterical.
Emily had to be like whooshed up onto the boat.
So embarrassing.
Freezing cold. There was like water in our waders. It was a nightmare. But it's one of those days when you just finish and you feel like a 5-year-old child.
I think we sort of wolfed pizza.
I remember
for
pizza
about
in the
an hour.
back seat. Oh, amazing.
I thought you were going to say, that everybody got into sea swimming in COVID. You weren't inspired by being in the sea for this movie to get into that?
There was no chance.
Well, no, there was
there was one day.
We had a nice sunny day,
We were in the water.
I borrowed a wetsuit, I have to say, so I was a bit of a chicken, but there was some swimming.
Okay. How did you get into the headspace of this character? Because obviously he's complicated to say the least. Like, what do you do before they say action, or do you do anything to get into the headspace like this, Brian?
It's not so much like before action. It's kind of in the weeks/months leading up to it where you... So I got to Donegal, I think I was there very early. I was there about 5 or 6 weeks before we started filming. And Fola was worried about it kind of keeping me occupied. But I think that time by myself really helped. I'd never been that isolated as an adult really before. So I was waiting for everybody else to get there. Yeah. And I think that's where the majority of the work happens, because you're trying to operate within the like psychological realms of somebody who's totally different to the way that I think. But then there's just a natural intent, like the intensity on set for this film was like, I don't mean intensity in the bad sense of the word, I mean in a very like positive sense. There was like an intense energy around the source material and the work that I think really benefited and helped me bridge the gap between me and Brian.
Okay, and you mentioned that intensity. I mean, a lot of this when I was watching, the script's brilliant, but a lot of it you're actually reading the emotions from both of you, but Emily, you can see the way she's looking at Brian, and there'll be silence for quite a long period of time sometimes. Was that challenging to get I know you're an actor, so it's your job, but like when you're the bits that don't have the script, where we're all looking at seeing the way they work around each other, was that challenging to those bits to film?
I think if you've drawn the map of what your relationship is in quite a detailed way, that's all there kind of in the moment when you're playing it. You don't have to sort of, as it were, demonstrate it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a kind of an intensity of just being really, really focused with something like this and being in the space of it, and then you can feel quite free to respond to things. It was. It's a lovely space to occupy when you know you're working with an actor that's very, you're very much on the same page and you're very responsive. You don't quite know what's going to happen.
Okay.
And the directors were great at just dropping little things in that shifted dynamics and surprised us.
And speaking of not knowing what's going to happen, a lot of people are very excited about the Oscars. I have to ask before I go. Are you very excited, Paul? And Emily, as an Oscar nominee, have you any advice for Paul and not to the Oscars for his first nomination?
It's just mad. I mean, like...
Try not to throw up.
Yeah, that's the plan. I hear like people are saying bring food in your pockets. It's all pretty practical advice. I mean, like, I just have no idea what it's going to look like. The scale of it is something that I can't even fathom. Just really excited. Like, I think it's going to be great.
Decide you don't care if you make an idiot out of yourself.
Yeah, I think that's for sure. Once the ceremony's finished, I'm just going to go mad. Yeah.
Having your family seeing them last night and everything, is it great to see them? And do they keep you down to, a lot of Irish actors I've interviewed say family, friends, that's what keeps you real, if you want a better word.
I mean, it's beyond that. It's just like they're the people that I make. It's like, I understand that question, but it's like family is the same to me that it is to most people. It's just like they're the people that I love the most in the world, and they're the people that I want to share my success and my failures with, but they're also the people that I want, like when I make a film or I'm in a play, they're the people I'm making it, the people that I love are the people that I'm making the work for, so it's wonderful to share in the kind of product of that with them.
Yeah. Listen, congratulations on the film, and thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.